The story of Lakshmi. Namaste. My name is Lakshmi. I am going to talk about the battle of my life with TB. My struggle was not only with TB, but with society at large. At present, I am 29 years old. I was born as a very healthy baby. My mother used to say that although I used to fall sick more often, that did not stop me from being outgoing and active. We lived in a small room in a slum area. Due to poor financial condition, I could not study after 6th standard. I got married at the age of 20, living in a small gully in nearby slum area. My husband and I were daily wage laborers and lived a hand-to-mouth existence. I gave birth to a beautiful daughter at the age of 21, and she became my life. But little did I know what the future had in store for me. It all started with cough, which would just not go away despite taking treatment from a local doctor. For 2 months, I was taking the same medicines but not improving a bit, and also losing weight. When I did not improve, I went to a Buva who said I was suffering because of my past sins. I was devastated because my husband and in-laws were also not supportive. A social worker came to my area for health education and she saw my worsening condition. She advised me to go to the nearby UHC and get my sputum checked for TB. I was so scared to know that I might be suffering from TB all this time, more so for my daughter. I remember when I was young, I had a neighbor who had died due to TB. That day, I went to the hospital alone. 13th of March 2015. I still remember the day I was diagnosed with TB. The doctor told me that I would have to take medicines for a few months. On the way back home, the only thought I had was, how should I break this news to my family? I just did not have the courage to tell my family, so I kept quiet. Right after taking medicines for a few months, I started feeling so good again. Hence, I became irregular in taking medicines. After 2 months, I completely stopped taking medicines, thinking that I'm TB free now. I had got my life back. At least, that's what I had thought. Underestimating TB was probably the biggest mistake of my life. My TB was there to stay, and it announced itself by no lesser means. I had never coughed up blood in my life before, but as they say, there is a first time for everything. I started having fever in evening time. I did not feel like eating anything. Same doctor, same diagnosis, but more dangerous. The doctor said I had multi-drug resistance TB. Even my husband being with me in the hospital this time could not reduce the devastating effect this news had on me. The doctor had declared that if this time I did not take my medicines regularly, consequences were fatal. My life was at stake. At first, I thought that this had implication on just my health. I could not have been more wrong. My previously friendly neighbors would not allow me to fill water from a common place. Other kids stopped playing with my daughter. All the neighbors kept taunting my mother-in-law and husband because I have TB. I was coming face to face with the social stigma associated with TB. It all got worse to the level that my family's behavior also changed completely. I would have braved it all, except for the fact that my daughter was also not spared the taunts and shaming. So I took my daughter and left for my mother's home. My husband didn't even try to stop me. My mother, old as she was, is the reason I'm here today. She stood by us like a rock, working and taking care of us. This life-changing event took their toll on me, and for the first time in my life, I met with depression. Had it not been for my daughter, I would not have found the will to live. At the hospital, I met with a health worker from an NGO, which was exclusively working for TB patients. This was the day my life took a turn for a better. Being a TB patient and a single mother, the NGO found genuine interest in my case. They offered financial help and support in my daughter's education. This was just a spark I needed, and now I was more than determined to take the fight to TB. I became regular in taking the medication. As my health improved, I started looking for work. But what could a 6-pass single mother with TB possibly do? Then it struck me. My bane was going to become my boon. I wanted to help TB patients in whatever way I could, but did not know where to start. I started working with the same NGO that had already given me so much. They trained me to impart education and share my own experience with TB with other people. Someone who had lost hope at one point was now giving hope to others. TB nearly brought my life to a tragic end. Now fighting against TB for others has given me a new life. This year, the theme for World TB Day is Wanted Leaders for a TB-Free World. I represent the community of people suffering from TB. I lead the fight against TB for myself and for others suffering. I do this not because I have to, but because I want to. Which community do you lead? Why should you care? Because TB does not care if you are young or old, male or female. It could care less about your religion, caste, race or color. So why not we all join our hands to fight against TB for a TB-free future?